First episode.
Wait, is it recording?
It's recording, yeah.
This is so cool.
Zero planned. Okay, so Beer Burrito podcast. That's what this is, and we have no idea what's going on. The only thing we know is that we want to be two guys talking about the wilderness and whatnot.
Yeah, so like your idea for the podcast was, hey Keegan, let's make a podcast. We're going to call it the Bear Burrito Podcast, in honor of outdoor terminology, because what we want to talk about is just two guys who love the outdoors, who are trying to start an outdoors business together, and we want to just have a place where we can hang out, talk about outdoor related things that we're passionate about, joke around, talk seriously sometimes, and basically just have like a good discussion and hangout time between us that maybe other people might enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
Is that like an accurate overview of what we want?
Yeah, I think so, because, we're wanting to do this outdoor program and eventually just let it be whatever it can be, essentially. Let it grow into whatever it's going to grow into. And, yeah, I think this is a great way of you and I just being able to, set us, because what I've noticed is, a lot of successful people, they take time to specifically talk about one thing or to specifically look at certain ideas and to grow certain thoughts in their brains and in relationships. And although this is a time for you and I just to joke around about whatever and talk about whatever, we still have this underlying focus of the outdoors, of teaching people, of developing people, of getting people to become their best selves, just like we're trying to do that for ourselves right now. And this can just be a great way for people to get to know us. And hopefully one day when we do have that business growing, people will be like, oh yeah, those guys seem cool. I'd love to go out into the woods with them.
Right.
And hopefully this won't hurt our business.
Right.
Or they're like, I don't want to go into the woods with those guys. So yeah, that's a big hope for it.
Yeah, I hope that they think the former. So that's good. And yeah, I am excited to just hang out and talk about stuff that I love to talk about.
Right.
And so, like you said, the goal of our business, what we want to do, is to develop the individual into a strong person of character and a person with the leadership skills to then inspire that character in others. We want something that can help them do that. And then they can realize, the importance of their individual self-worth as a human and feel confident in who they are and in the skills they've been given, and hopefully become a better person, and I want that for me,
Right.
And I think that going outside and having time of discussion like this, or even self-reflection outdoors alone in that meditation, that really helps to improve me as a man and into who I want to be, and so I want that for other people too.
Yeah,
we both do.
Yeah, because we can both agree that I think that a big reason why we obviously want to do this and talk so much about the outdoors is because the outdoors has done so much for us.
Yeah.
Some of the most, without a shadow of a doubt, some of the times that I've grown the most has been whenever I've been outdoors.
Right.
Has been whenever I'm either having fun with people, just hanging out, sitting in a hammock or whatever.
Right.
Or trying to rock climb and ripping my fingers to shreds. Just getting so angry at the cliff, even though it could care less about me. And that teaches me so much about myself and about just life in general. And I want to provide that for other people. Because my wife, Katie, she loves rock climbing and it's a joy for her.
Right.
But for me, I get angry.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, and it teaches me a lot. And I'm afraid of heights in a lot of ways.
I get that.
And so, sitting on the edge of a cliff, not on top of it, but on the edge of it, it's just freaking me out.
It's way worse.
Yeah, it's way worse. When we were in Yosemite, I definitely pushed myself literally to the limits of cliffs.
That's pretty high.
Stood right on the edge of them, walked on some really sketchy stuff, but I was still had something underneath me.
Right.
And whatnot. But yeah, once you have nothing underneath you and you're fully relying on this rope and the person holding you with that rope. And I've seen harnesses snap on people's legs before and whatnot. And they've had to grab onto the wall real quick.
Yeah,
or they've had to down climb or climb up. It's some scary stuff.
That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
But I mean, But that's the type of stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to live a life where by the end of it I'm dead and just sitting in a chair in an office having a heart attack or something because of it. I'd rather have a heart attack because I'm on the edge of a cliff, you know, trying to fight my fears and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, there is something beautiful about the struggle. Like you said, like, it's hard for you mentally and physically to, you know, climb up a cliff or a crag, you know, something like that. It's difficult, but, you know, obviously it's rewarding. And, you know, you'd much rather do something that's hard and rewarding than something that's easy and boring.
Right.
You know, or something that's safe and comfortable, but in the end, not fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think that there is something to be said about, like, no pain, no gain. Like, you know,
yeah,
and especially in, like, an adventure setting where the idea, like, if anybody's ever done an adventure program before, a challenge course or something like that, the idea is to find the zone that, you know, like the company I used to work for has this system, like green, yellow, red, right? Like a stoplight. And, like, green zone, like, you're comfortable doing it. You know, it's no big deal for you at all. It's something that maybe you've done before, but you're not really going to grow a lot from doing it. You know, maybe you'll get practice, but you're not really going to grow character-wise from doing it. Yellow is where you want to be, where it's challenging you. It's outside of your comfort zone. You're maybe a little afraid while doing it, but you know that if you stick with it, you can accomplish it, you know, or you can accomplish something. And the red is like where I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn by pushing because I'm freaking out too much. You know, and so you want to find that zone, that yellow zone, where it's a struggle. It can be hard, and it can be challenging, it can be scary, but you know it's doable. And then at the end, you feel the sense of accomplishment, like, wow, I was able to do that, and I was able to grow from it. And that's where, you know, that's where you want to be a lot of times in your life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think too often people either find themselves in the green or in the red.
Yeah.
You know, like, life will be coasting by. You go to work from 9 to 5, come home, eat your meal, you know, watch TV, watch Jimmy Fallon or something.
Right.
Go to sleep, wake up, same thing the next day.
Yeah.
Take your kids to, you know, soccer practice, whatever. Then all of a sudden a red moment happens out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or, like, your kid breaks their leg. You get into a car accident.
Yeah.
You know, like, your house floods. There's
a big expense.
Yeah, a hurricane, a tornado, something crazy happens. And then all of a sudden you have no idea what to do because you've been living your life in the green your whole life.
I think you bring up a really good point because it's true. I just thought, you know, like, the longer that you spend in the green, the more the yellow shrinks. You know, the yellow zone gets smaller because you're so used to a routine, or you're so used to a certain level of comfort that when that's taken away, like, sometimes you can jump immediately to a red zone where you're just like, wow, I don't want to be here. I hate this. You know, I'm freaking out about this. And your yellow zone shrinks. But if you keep pushing into the yellow zone and keep escaping the green zone and keep pushing into things that make you uncomfortable but build you up, when the red comes, like, you're more prepared for it.
Right.
You know, and you feel like it's less of a big deal because, like, you know, when a big expense comes or when an unexpected tragedy happens, well, you know you've overcome smaller ones.
Yeah.
You know, because like anything in life, you know, it starts small. If you overcome small things, then you're going to be more and better equipped to overcome medium things and then large things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you jump straight from, you know, not overcoming anything to trying to overcome a mountain,
right,
it doesn't work. You can't climb a mountain. You got to walk up a hill first, and then you have to climb a crag first. Then you have to do a single pitch, you know, and then it's like you got to build up to climb the mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think what's so interesting is that, like, for most people in their lives, and this is me included, I had a professor once tell me, so, like, in the idea of, like, a marriage, the green zone would be like you and your wife, just, like, normal days, you know, loving each other and just having a good life. Red zone, you're hating each other, something terrible is going wrong in the relationship.
Right.
And he said that
maybe not hating each other, but having a rough time.
We'll have, like, a really rough time.
Maybe
like a crisis has come up in your marriage,
like an unhealthy,
something
like,
very unhealthy.
Yeah.
So, for instance, he would say, like, I would never cheat on my wife at this moment in my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
He said, because I also take steps to make sure I'm not doing that.
Mm.
He said, but if I never paid attention to anything and I just allowed myself to coast through my marriage and not pay attention to stuff, I would wind up essentially in that red zone without even realizing that I've gone into it.
Right.
And so, although you think you're in a green zone, that can quickly turn over time into a red area.
Right.
And that yellow, what all that is really is just being aware and being proactive about stuff. You know, it's saying like, it's telling people, you know, no, no, like I can't go out to dinner with just you.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
like telling
It's
somebody,
doing like something uncomfortable.
yeah, even having
Yeah.
uncomfortable conversations with your spouse.
Yes.
Of being like,
What boundaries are for certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being able to tell your wife, like, hey, like, that guy really bothers me when you just hang out with him.
Right.
You know, or your wife, that girl, saying, like, you know, like, you do this sometimes in a relationship, and it hurts me.
Yeah.
You know, having those conversations
Where it's hard.
you would think, oh, I'm just going to wait till, like, we have a fight to address this. But it's really, like, when you think about it, when it happens, like, just say it.
Yeah.
And that's the best moment. You're going to have conflict, but those are the best times. And I think, and that's what the outdoors taught me,
right,
is because we would have these sayings of saying, like, never let down.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be going on a hike, and you'd finally get to the peak, and you're so happy and excited that once you start going down the peak, you're just, like, running along, you're just having fun, being carefree. But that's when the most injuries happen, is on the way down from a peak.
Yeah.
From
a
hike.
mountaintop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing in everything, yeah.
Yeah. And
Have
so
a mountaintop experience and it makes you vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah. That's a really good point. For those of you who don't know, Nick is studying marriage and family therapy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So is my wife. She's studying marriage and family therapy, and she comes home and talks to me about it all the time. And yeah, you touched on something that she's also mentioned, where it's healthy to have conflict as long as you keep resolving it.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't, the frequency of having arguments doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What does matter is how those arguments end. And so, like, you can have an argument like every other day, as long as you can resolve those arguments every other day, But, what's a problem is where if you, like you said, you don't address something you have, a problem with right away. Like, my wife doesn't like how I do a certain chore, but she doesn't tell me about it, and I continue to do it. And now it's just building up in her and building up in her and building up in her every time. And I have no idea, like, I'm not aware of it. And, I'm just coasting and fine. And she, she wants to stay in the green zone. She wants to be comfortable. She doesn't want to rock the boat. She doesn't want to tell me about the thing that's bothering her because it'll rock the boat. That's awkward, and that's weird to bring it up. That pushes into yellow, right? So let's not go there. Stay in the green. Well, now, if we get into an argument, all that, pent up contempt that she's been holding about the thing that I've been doing wrong that she hasn't told me about, it explodes, and now we're in red. Now we're in a place where it's bad. And where if she had just pushed into yellow a little bit and sat down and had a conversation, we're both calm, and told me about the thing that's bothering her in a calm way and how she feels about it, like, we could have resolved it right away. And it's like those little excursions into the yellow is what makes the green even better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, because a huge idea of that is, the conflict itself, like you just said, like, ending the conflict and how you manage the conflict while it's happening is a huge idea. And what's even bigger than how you handle the actual conflict is how you handle yourself outside the conflict. Just day-to-day moments. When you wake up in the morning, how do you address your spouse? When you wake up in the morning, what do you do? How do you wake them up? How do you talk to them? When they come home, do you greet them?
Right.
Do you, ignore them? When you go to bed, are you just sitting on your phone while they're trying to talk to you? What's going on? It's the idea of, the love bank, Are you putting coins into their bank? That way, when you do something dumb and screw up, you have some coins to take out. Because if you have no coins to take out and you're running in debt, and you're running them even more and more dry, you're giving them less of a comfort that they can actually rely on you to be a good person to them.
Right.
So if I'm great to my wife, if I'm great to her all the time, and I'm doing great things for her, the times that I do screw up, she's able to say, oh, that's not like Nick all the time. That's just Nick in this moment.
Yeah.
Because I know the other Nick. I know the real Nick.
Right.
Whereas if I am that way all the time and I'm not giving her a reason to think that I'm something else or that I'm more dependable, then why would she, rely on me? And that's where you push into that red area. And the yellow is keeping up with putting those things in the bank. Yeah. It's dropping the love note into their lunchbox. It's, simple things a lot of times. It's listening to them instead of
it's singular actions.
Yeah.
And see, I love that you say that, because it's not just with relationships. It's literally, that's everything in life. It's all based on singular actions you do every day. Because like what I try to tell my students, when I'm giving them one of my customary Mr. Pinalva speeches, I tell them, and this is a phrase that I try and live by all the time, where every day a single action becomes a habit, and a habit becomes your character, and your character is who you are. And so like, I give the kids the examples. Like today, my friend makes me mad, and so I choose this one day to do the one action, say something mean to him, right? I say a rude comment to him. Well, tomorrow, since I've already said a rude comment the day before, it's easier now for me to say another rude comment. And so I do that again to somebody else. The next day, same thing. And before I know it, I have formed a habit where it's easy and habitual for me to say rude things to people that piss me off, right? Yeah. And so now I'm habitually saying things to people that make me mad. And now before I know it, because of that, it's become my demeanor, my character. Now I'm saying rude things to you all the time. I'm getting more mad now because I'm getting in the habit of feeling angry and letting that, anger take control of me. And now before I know it, I'm an angry and rude person, and it all starts with a singular action I choose to do. And I tell the kids, like, it's a slippery slope. Every single thing that you do can build a habit, and the habits that you build turn into your character, and that becomes who you are. Yeah. So you gotta be careful, like even in your marriage, choosing every day to do the hard thing, to sit and listen, to write a note, to say a loving word, give a loving touch. Like that's not only putting positive things in your bank, but it's also forming habits that become what kind of spouse you're gonna be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and something I've realized since being in this program and doing, being in college and now like getting my master's, is I listen to so much stuff and I think, why hasn't anyone ever told me this stuff? Like, why wasn't this taught to me? It's just like when you become a parent, you think like, why didn't anyone tell me this was going to happen? Right. And there's a lot of things that you can't be prepared for, but there's a lot of things you can. And I think something that we're lacking in our schools are these, traits, are these lessons that people can learn. They're not learning it properly. They're not learning it in a lot of ways. And, the schools can only do so much. Even parents sometimes can only do so much. Yeah. Especially if they haven't learned these skills either. Yeah. And which is a bigger reason why, you and I want to do this type of stuff, is because we want to be a place where not only students can come learn, like we don't want to be a place where parents can just drop off kids. Right. We want to be a place where everyone can get informed. Absolutely. Where everyone can learn. Like, yeah, we might be doing a lot of after school stuff for some kids and students, but we want that to be taken home to their parents. Yes. And then we also want to have a way of teaching parents, of talking to parents. Yes. Hopefully parents are listening to this podcast, Right. Hopefully their older kids are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, the program is about developing character. And that's something that everybody, no matter the age, should be wanting to develop in themselves, because that's what life is about. Yeah. You want to be a person of character always. And it doesn't matter, how, like for me, I define success and how good a person I can be, like how I can be shaped and molded. And it's not it's not an outward extrinsic thing. Like success is an intrinsic thing. Yeah. Where it's like, are you a person of character or not? And that's what we want to do. Like you said, for anyone, students, parents, everyone, like, we want to give them strategies and challenges to make them better leaders and to work together as a team, be more cooperative individuals, and to be more confident individuals, and then lastly, to be more responsible individuals, and I think that those four things, it's not something you really learn in school. It's something that you do learn in school, but not formally. Right. It's something that experience teaches you. Yeah. But what if there was a way to put people and expose them to more frequency of experiences that would develop those skills? Yeah. And that's what the program is about. It's not about sitting in a classroom and learning about leadership. It's about putting you in a situation where you can practice leadership, right. And then discussing what does and doesn't work about your leadership style, and what qualities do make a good leader that we've seen throughout history, or throughout personal experience, or just, what we know works, And so it's not just learning about those characteristics, but it's like, can you put them into practice? What does that look like? And then, challenging them in that way.
Yeah, because that's a really hard thing to do. I worked with at-risk teenagers. Yeah. and for a while in my bachelor's, while I was doing my bachelor's degree, and there were so many moments where they'd have these workbooks of telling them like, hey, this is how you should act, this is how you should treat people, this is how you should do this, that, and the other.
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool, like I can write down the definition of what that means.
Right.
You know, I can tell you what this is, but man, whenever something would happen, some kid like didn't get the snack he wanted, or when like someone was watching TV and another, you know, guy wanted to watch TV, like all hell broke loose.
Practice is a different matter.
Oh yeah,
like, you can learn so something by putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're saying, like experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Like you can talk about it in the classroom all you want, but at the end of the day, you're really only going to learn if you're put into situations in which you can practice it or choose not to.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we want to do, is expose them to a greater number of opportunities for them to practice the characteristics that they want to foster than they usually get, than they will get in school. You know. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think what's also so great about the wilderness aspect is it's almost like putting like just being able to put you in such an intense situation sometimes, because being in more intense situations usually tend to like help that learning process go faster.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like trying to like do your budget over the course of a year, and every once in a while you're like not doing so hot, you're like a little inconsistent. By the end of the year, like, yeah, you didn't do so good, but you're still surviving. So you're probably not going to change it up that much the next year.
Right.
Like, you're probably still going to go into debt at some point. You're just going to make a slow dive towards that if you don't get yourself consistent and learn how to, like, conserve yourself.
Just be disciplined.
But, man, when you're having to do, like, a 10-day or 20-day backpacking trip and you have a ration of food, you better be conservative.
Right.
Like, you better figure out how to ration that stuff out.
Right.
And how to be responsible with it, because by day 10, by day 5, you might be all out of what you really needed. You
Absolutely. Know? And, you know, that's actually that's one of the lessons that we're doing, you know, is what do we bring on a backpacking trip, and they're going to get to, you know, pack for one, you know, and so, like, you know, experience the consequences of poor planning. But I like that idea, because I think what you're talking about is like the difference between positive and negative stress. Yeah. And, you know, like positive stress, like you said, like we have this project, this backpacking trip coming up, you know, so the stress is on, there's pressure to plan for it before the due date, but it's a positive stress because you're growing through it. You can accomplish it. You know, it's something that is going to help you to do. And so, you know, it's putting pressure on you, but in a way that's growing you, as opposed to negative stress where like you're falling off a cliff. You know, and the stress that you're experiencing is not helping you; it's hurting you. You know, or if you're really angry with somebody and you lose your temper and you're exploding on them, that's negative stress, because, you know, that's not helping you and you're not using it constructively. But I think that pressure and stress, you know, I mean, just everybody knows this because everybody's lived through it. There is positive stress where it motivates you. You know, that's what we want to. That's what we want to. This situation. That's what we want to do with the program, is put them in positive stress situations. Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good overview.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think, because that's the program, you know?
Yeah.
And this whole podcast isn't just about the program. It's just about us and our experiences.
Right.
So it's almost a way of showing, like, who we are, what experiences have taught us, and how, like, that type of stuff is going to shape the program as well.
Yeah.
Like, this whole podcast is like an underlying of the program in a way, of just showing how we've gotten to where we have with the program.
And that's great.
Yeah.
That's what we want it to be. Yeah, I like that. And, you know, it's talking about things that we're passionate about and being able to share that with other people, hopefully, that want to listen. I think that's really special. And, yeah, again, like, this isn't about the program. It's just we're talking about it because we like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably by like episode 5, people are like, I thought this wasn't about the program.
Yeah.
No, that's all we talk about.
Right. Yeah. We need to for next we need to do like a theme where it's like stories or education, or no, because then it would come back. something that we want. I like that this one though, we're talking about, you know, what we believe about the outdoors and why it's good for people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we've been mostly sticking to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And showing how much it does relate to
real life.
Because there's so many people who will say, like, why would I go canoeing when my marriage is in shambles?
Right.
Like, what's the point of that? Like, why am I going on some vacation when, like, my wife and I are, like, destroying each other?
Right.
And that's the reason.
Exactly.
One, you need a vacation. Two, like, you're probably going to get into arguments more on this vacation than you are at home right now. But you're going to learn how to do it, like, strategically.
Yeah.
You know, that's, like, way in the future when we're doing, like, marriage stuff.
Yeah, but that's such a good point because, I mean, oh my gosh. Like, you want to learn how to work together as a team?
Yeah.
Yeah, be in a canoe together.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just like, you want to talk about like roles in a marriage, there's roles in a canoe, you know.
Yeah.
Person in the front is the power, person in the back is the steering. You guys got to communicate on what
Right.
side of the boat you're going
Right.
to paddle on, you know, is like what kind of strokes you're going to use, you know,
Yeah.
piloting the canoe in the right direction. Is somebody not pulling their weight? How do you deal with that? You know, how do you bring that up? I mean, like, it's just like, it's, the analogy is perfect.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's because, like, my wife Katie and I have a great canoeing story.
Yeah.
We're like the first time we were ever in a canoe, the youth minister, who was like our best friend Cody, he put us in the canoe together. Like, we thought, we'd like get some of the junior hires to canoe with us because it was a youth trip,
right? And
we'd like be good volunteers and, you know, disperse with some of the students. And he's like, no, you guys should do it together. And it was like, okay. And so we're like rocking it.
Right.
We're canoeing. We're like, we're doing great.
Yeah.
And like Katie's in the front just chilling, and I'm like in the back, and she's like, you're doing great. And then another point, like she's in the back and I'm in the front, and we're doing great. And then we get to this like root wad, you know, where the tree is falling over and all the water is being sucked into this tree.
Oh, just like a strainer.
Into the roots, it's a strainer, yeah. And we're just, and all of a sudden, it's like this corner. So you have like the beach.
Yeah.
Where everyone's pulling off.
Right.
And you see, like, right once you get up to it, that's when you see everyone going, turn sharp!
Oh,
turn
no.
sharp! Turn sharp! There's a strainer! And I'm in the front, Katie's in the back.
A positive stress situation.
Yeah, Katie's trying to be like, do this. And I'm like, I'm trying. And sure enough, we go flying straight into it.
Ow.
And I thought we were moving slower than we were. But once we approached that thing, we just rammed right into it.
Yeah.
And luckily, like, we didn't tip or anything.
Right.
We just, like, we hit it and we went off
to
the side and were able to pull over. But we're on a U-trip. I get out of this canoe. I just start storming down the beach, just, like, under my breath, cussing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, oh my God, I'm sorry, but this. You know, no, I'm sorry, but that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it was pretty, and then Katie and I were like yelling at each other off in the distance.
Right.
And then
whose fault is it?
Yeah.
And, you know, how could you have prevented it?
Yeah.
And who wasn't doing their job right?
Yeah.
And, oh man, it's so constructive.
Yeah. And then Cody's just laughing at us from the distance.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, seriously, for all of you, if any of you are married and you're listening, take them canoeing.
Yeah.
It'll make you break you.
Yeah. Well, do you want to keep going or wrap it up?
How much time have we had?
7:03.
So we've been doing this for like half an hour?
I think so.
It's been half an hour. Yeah, we can wrap it up.
This is a good introductory one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to our introductory Bear Burrito podcast. Keegan, do you have anything you want to say?
No. I'm just really glad that we could do this. And, you know, next time, for our next one, we'll be a little more focused on what we want to talk about. But, yeah, I think that this was really productive for me. And I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, me too. All right, guys. We will have other things that you can go to. More than likely, I'll have a website that you'll probably never visit. I'll have an Instagram page where we'll probably just post like little things up, maybe like short snippets or quotes of things that we said because we're so wise.
Obviously.
Yeah, and maybe other references to other things too. So thank you guys for listening, and hope you have a good day.
I like that.
Just say it.
Stay saucy.